A very warm welcome to you once again. First of all, I would like to apologize. There has been some delay from my last video. As you can see, we are continuing with our series of solving previous year question, and most probably there will be just left one question, question number 8, and after that we will be we'll be completing all our previous year question from 2024. Let's jump to the question number 7, and as you can see, the question number 7 is also having three parts to it, A, B, and C. Let's take a look at them. The first that we are having is, do modernization and secularization necessarily go together? That's our question number 1. And then the second is, how do you understand the phenomena of mushrooming of sects and cults, and discuss the dimensions of power in the construction of maintenance of social hierarchies. Looking at the first one, do modernization and secularization go together? Yes or no? If you look at this question, it's not a direct one, but it is trying to establish a relationship with the concept of social changes that are happening. Like, how do you see the phenomena of secularization? And if we look, this particular question has been taken from Unit 8, Religion and Society. In that, we are having the part C, in which separately the topic of secularization has been discussed. It's not a direct question, but it is trying to establish a relationship between two components. That one component, it is talking about modernization, and the second topic that we are having is secularization. It is trying to establish a relationship between both of them. So what we will be talking is, first in the introduction part, you need to speak about both of these terms. What is the meaning of modernization and what is the meaning of secularization? If you look at the term, the word modernization means it's a disconnectivity from the past. However, the things that have been there in the previous societies, it has come to an abrupt end. So modernity is defined to be as a substantial break. It is defined as a substantial break from the past. And on the aspect of social phenomena, on the aspect of cultural phenomena, economic phenomena, the things have undergone some changes or a transformation. So first of all, you will be trying to explain what is the meaning of modernity, and then you will be trying to explain what is the meaning of secularization. So what is the meaning of secularization? A simple definition that has been given by a sociologist such as Brian Wilson. Brian Wilson is explaining secularization can be simply defined to be as de-religiousness. It can be simply defined to be as de-religiousness. Let me explain you what is de-religiousness. For hundreds and thousands of years, religion was playing a very significant role. But slowly, as we go towards the modern era, the significance, the power, the authority, the popularity, the charm of the religion has been lost. So religion has been moving towards the de-religiousness, and this phenomena is called to be as secularization. So Brian Wilson is trying to explain secularization is something where religion has lost its power and popularity, where religion has moved towards a de-religiousness. So what you can do here is, in the introduction, you can provide a simple definition to both of these terms, because your answer is going to be around the term modernization and secularization. So we provide a simple definition to it, and then let's go to the body part. And let me read the question. Do modernization and secularization necessarily go together? Give your views. And as you know, whenever you're writing any answer in your UPSC, especially at a mains or a optional level, examiner is always interested to know at least two opinions. So what you have to say is, yes, modernization and secularization, they go together. You also need to highlight that both of these phenomena, A and B, they are not going together. So first of all, we are going to say modernization and secularization, they don't go in together. because that is like a popular opinion that in modernity religion has lost its significance, religion has lost its authority and influence on the people. So we are going to agree that modernization and secularization, they don't go together. So I'm going to divide my answer into two types. They don't go together, and I am going to use they do go together. So you can use any other kind of a subheading, but for the sake of simplification, let me use a very short and a crisp subheading, that is they don't go together. They do go together. Let's try to highlight, yes, how they don't go together. If you look, modernity is all about where the society is becoming more logical and rational. And whenever you see the rationalization of society tends to rise, whenever the rationality of society, it tends to increase during that period, we get to see religion is not going to have much of its relevance. So yes, they don't go together due to the phenomena of rationalization of society. They don't go together due to rationalization of society, which sociologist has particularly highlighted this rationalization of society will happen in modern times. It was Weber who was highlighting it. So they don't go together due to rationalization. And then another important why they don't go together is due to the phenomena of functional differentiation. They don't go together. 1 minute. Yeah. Due to the phenomena of functional differentiation. What here Parson is trying to highlight, the functions that was being held by religion, those functions now it has been outsourced to many modern other phenomena as well. For example, religion was taking the role of providing reasoning. Religion was playing the role of adding some ideas or philosophy. It was taking care of the technological aspect, administrative aspect, money distribution aspect. All this has been differentiated. Science has taken up that role of providing technology, taking care of economic systems, handling the political system. So they don't go together because the function that was done by the religion, and that function it has been given to science. So the function has been differentiated. So the religion functions are lost. Therefore, science has replaced it. So they don't go together. This concept of functional differentiation has been highlighted by Parson. Another important reason why they do not go together, it is also because of rising urbanization. And as we see, whenever urbanization tends to increase, the materialism tends to increase. With the increase of materialism, with the increase of consumerism, with the increase of materialism, consumerism, we tend to see that urbanization is mostly encouraging modernity, and it is encouraging the significance. So they do not go together because modernization and secularization. Oh, sorry. I'm trying to highlight how they both. So whenever the religion, uh, actually I have framed the question a little bit differently. How they, sorry, they don't means here the don't stands for religion. Religion will not have a place. Religion will have a place. So they don't. Yeah, just a second. Hmm. So urban, let me continue. So they don't means religion will not have any place. And then urbanization, materialism, consumerism, when it also tends to increases, the religion will lose its significance because religion is always talking about spirituality, the essence of art of living, something of that sort. So that is also not having, and mostly we see on the basis of empirical evidences in the West, wherever the modernity has come, the religion was not able to withstand. So empirical evidences. So for the whole example I can give is the example of a European society. Now how religion and modernization they both go together, let's try to understand, because we were taking all the examples where they don't go together. Now, how religion and science, they both are going together. Slowly, we are seeing that there has been a rise of religious revivalism, that secularization has come to its saturation. And if secularization has come to its saturation, there will be a form of a cyclical approach that will be established. This concept was highlighted by a cyclical sociologist whose name was Pitrim Sorokin. So I can highlight Pitrim Sorokin and its influence. Another reason how religion and modernity can coexist together, especially in today's time when the globalization is meeting the concept of deglobalization. And whenever the deglobalization tends to enhance, the cultural uniqueness is supposed to be highlighted. And when the cultural uniqueness is being highlighted, religion will find some of its own spaces. So deglobalization will promote religion, because in deglobalization, what is going to happen? The society is going to go towards the element of nationalism. Any other phenomena that we are having, we are slowly seeing that there has been a rise of new religious movements. New religious movements, it tends to increases the effects or the essence of religion. Slowly we'll see cults are coming into the picture, sects are coming into, so new religious movements where modernity is also there, religion is also there. And lastly, I can highlight the role that has been played by cultural nationalism. I have mentioned about nationalism here also, but mostly the point is centered around deglobalization. So you can just skip this point, and if you want to highlight, when cultural nationalism increases, the religion will be highlighted with modernity. A very good example for that is, let me give you an example, is the example of Middle East countries or the West Asian countries. Slowly you're seeing cultural nationalism is also increasing in India as well. So what have we done here? In a 20 marker question, we have tried to define what is the meaning of modernity, secularization, body part, and in the conclusion, what you are going to say, that both these phenomena, modernization and secularization, these are two different phenomena. They both can coexist together, that can also be there, and they both are separated as well, but they play a very important role in the modern era, especially in the 21st century. So what did we do? We have first provided an introduction where definition is given for modernity and secularization. Then we provided a body part in which we are telling that no, modernity and religion, they do not exist together, because if one comes, the other will go away. Or you can say modernity and religion, they both can coexist together. Example, how religious revivalism is happening. This is second part of the answer is more important, because this is something very unusual that we see. Religious revivalism is happening, and that is according to the cyclical approach of Pitrim Sorokin. How deglobalization is happening. You can highlight the trends of deglobalizations, how new religious movement is taking the help of social media to enhance existing of modernity and religion. And cultural nationalism, a very good example you can give is the example of Sudan, example of India, etc. And lastly, taking the example of West Asia, where religion and modernity are existing together, taking the example of Europe, where religion and modernity are not coexisting together, and then in the conclusion part, we are trying to say they both can coexist, they both cannot coexist, and this is somewhere they both play an important role, especially when it comes to 21st century. Coming to the next question, how do you understand the phenomena of mushrooming sects and cults? How do you understand the phenomena of mushrooming of sects and cults in contemporary society? Discuss the factors responsible for this trend. Now, this is also a 20 marker question. Let's first try to understand from which part of the syllabus this has been taken. If you see, this question has also been taken from religion and society, and this question is coming from the types of religious practices. And if you look at the syllabus, types of religious practices, sects and cults is a separate topic. The question is not talking about what is sects and cults. The question is talking about discuss the factors responsible for this trend. So first we'll try to see what we can write in the introduction part. First of all, you need to define that what is the meaning of the word sects and cults. See, let's yes. What is the meaning of the word sects and cults? If you look, the term sects, it basically means sectarian, or it stands for branches. There are different branches or streams which are created in a religion, and one branch will be regarded to be as one sect. So sect is defined to be as branches from the mainstream religion, and a good example for that is Protestants in the case of Christianity, Shias in the case of Muslims. Buddhism was also considered to be as a sect of especially Vaishnavism, the ninth avatar of Lord Vishnu. So sects, it is produced as a branches from the mainstream religion, and cults, it is like a religion which is established around a charismatic leader. So if there is a person who is able to influence, inspire a group of people on the basis of religious or spiritual ideas, they are called to be as the phenomena of cults. So you can give the branches of Protestants and Shias in the case of sects. You can give the examples of Hare Krishnas or ISKCON as an organization, International Society of Krishna Consciousness. Or you can give the example of Dera Baba, Dera Baba, etc. There are multiple examples. We will just try to look. But what is the main body part of this particular question? They are they are asking that how do you see, or what are some of the reasons for the popularity of these sects and cults in today's time? Why they are becoming so popular? Rather than people going towards the element or the essence of religion, why are they going towards these branches? Or why are they trying to establish these cults? Most probably, if you want to give one uniform word, I want you to write in the introduction the word new religious movements. The rising of sects and cults, it is called to be as the new religious movements, and it's a very popular term, especially used with the phenomena of cults. So basically, when you want to read the word cults in sociology books, you will not find this word, but rather you will find the word new religious movements over there. And why these both the phenomena are getting more popular? One main important reason for that popularity is at an individual level, people are getting disconnected from the society, so they are trying to connect back to the society, and a source or a link which can get them connected back with the society will be these sects and cults. So at an individual, there is a problem of alienation. At a larger collective level, there is a problem of anomy. So you can highlight how Karl Marx is trying to highlight alienation at an individual level, and how when collectivity of alienation is brought, Durkheim is talking about the concept of anomy. So one reason why it is getting popular could be alienation and anomy. Moreover, if we further talk why they are also getting popular is the role that has been played by media or the technology, which is also influencing. As you can see, there are many people who are acting like spiritual influencers. In one of my YouTube shorts, I have mentioned this word called as sprinfluencers. Let me just write it down for you. Sprinfluencers. I have made this word as a combination of spiritual plus influencer as sprinfluencers. You can write these words in the bracket. You can also write the word spiritual plus influencers, and then you can just give a quotation to that term, that it is a new term that we are just trying to coin. So you can also create your own terms as well, but in bracket just tell how you have how you have created this word. So why they are also getting popular? Media and technology is also playing an important role. Another important reason why these sects and cults are rising is because the charismatic leaders are bringing the people. They are providing a service. They are trying to fill a void or a gap which is established. So when there is a large level of issues, depression, anxiety, etc. All these things, when they are not being well addressed, because mental health, mental awareness is not being addressed, the charismatic leaders will address that, and they are able to create those cults around it. A very good example is Sadhguru. He talks about his charisma, how the spirituality can help you to find the purpose of life. So when the charismatic leaders, when they become important and relevant for the society, sects and cults will automatically become more important. Moreover, these NRM, new religious movement, these NRM will also, yeah, these NRM are also being important because there has been fragmentation of religion itself. This term can be referred to be as internal fragmentation of religion. Especially there is a sociologist whose name is Peter Berger. Let me just write it down. Yes. Peter Berger, Thomas Leckman, these are two important sociologists who has mentioned about what is the internal fragmentation of religion. That religion will produce some branches, and due to these branches are going to be seen as a prominent opinions. So we can talk about the concept of fragmentation of religion. Moreover, all around the world, there is a political and economic instability that is coming. People are losing their jobs. There are political warfare that are happening. So due to this transformation, the people who are affected due to loss of employment, not able to find the purpose of life. So due to political, economic and social not well-being, they try to address these issues as well. Moreover, religion has influenced the people for hundreds and thousands of years. Now people are looking for some alternatives to the mainstream religion. Alternatives to main religion. And what is that alternative to a main religion? Somebody else who is not talking about books, who is not talking about pandits, but rather than these books and pandit, somebody is talking about a new voice that can speak about this. So the very good example is people have found solace. They have found the purpose of life by joining an organization called as Osho by Bhagwan Rajneesh. You can also write here the example of Bhagwan Rajneesh who created an organization called as Osho. And in the conclusion, what you are going to write is you are going to say this captures of NRM, new religious movement, which includes the sects and the cults. It tries to enhance or it tries to capture the social changes in the institution of religion itself. So NRM, social changes, religion, these phenomena. So in this particular answer, we are trying to understand three important parts. Let me just let me just highlight. First of all, we are trying to look at the introduction. In the introduction, we give an explanation of sects and cults. That one is branches. It is centered on charismatic leader. Giving the example of sects, I talk about Protestants. I talk about Shias. Giving the example of cults, I have spoken about Hare Krishna, also known as ISKCON, or I talk about Dera Baba, Gurmeet Ram Rahim, or you can talk about Bhagwan Rajneesh Osho. Both of these things combined, it can be mentioned as new religious movements. In the body part, you are going to discuss the factors responsible for these trends. Why sects and cults are rising? You are trying to provide some reasons. Marx, Durkheim, they talk about anomie and alienation. They are relevant in today's time. Second, rise of social media. Technology has brought these leaders into limelight. They became as spin influencers, charismatic leaders, that is also with the dominance of effective social actions. We can see charismatic leaders are becoming more important. Peter Berger, Thomas Leckman is trying to talk about fragmentation of religion. Political, economic, social instability in the masses is trying to revive these religious movements, new religious movements. And when religion was dominant for hundreds and thousands of years, these sects and cults are trying to bring an alternative to the mainstream religion. That is why they are becoming popular. In the conclusion, we can say new religious movements, sects and cults, they try to capture the social changes of the mainstream religion and they try to represent the element of spirituality in the modern societies. So coming to the last part of our question number 7, discuss the dimensions of power in the construction. This question has been directly taken up from unit C and it talks about discuss the sociological theories of power. So now the question is not talking about theories of power, discuss the different dimensions that how the concept of power it can be interpreted in the construction of maintenance of social hierarchies. So when we take a look, this question is almost a direct question if you have read the broad notes that we are having. So first of all, in the introduction, what you are going to do is you will be providing a simple definition of how the term power has been explained. And if you look in all the theories, one of the most popular theory of power has been given by Weber. Weber has interlinked sociology with political science, and the term power, it is basically a political term. What is political system? It's a stratification of power, and Weber has created a separate branch called as political sociology where he's interlinking these concepts, and he says power is an ability to control others with or without their consent. So first of all, you're going to speak about what is power. It is an ability to control, it is an ability to influence, and even if there is an absence of consent. So you will be providing a short introduction and then you will be jumping into the body part. Now you are going to explain the different dimensions in which how the concept of power has been interlinked. So let me use a different color. Let's try to be a little bit colorful. See how the concept of power it has been interpreted. If you see, Marx has influenced or he has explained the power on the basis of the economic system. He has divided the society into haves and have-nots. So he sees one dimension of power is only on the economic systems or economic basis. And if you look at Weber, he has tried to explain the power in three different forms. He once explains on the basis of economic systems, then he tries to explain on the basis of non-economic systems, and then he tries to explain on the basis of political system. And Weber gives a Trinitarian model of stratification. He explains power in a multi-dimensional manner. He explains the power in a Trinitarian model. And what is that? One is the economic systems that he highlights. The other is a non-economic systems, and the third is the political system. So one dimension of how social hierarchies are created is a class hierarchy or a religious hierarchy such as the caste system or the political hierarchies of right wing, left wings, etc. So here we are speaking about one concept of power according to Marx and Weber. But if you see, one of the most popular theories of power has been given by not a sociologist, but he is a political philosopher. His name is Michael Foucault. If you personally ask me who has given one of the best theories of power is Michael Foucault. Because वो क्या कहता है? वो ये कहता है कि that the concept of power is basically built on the effect of resistance. He creates he also writes a book where he is talking about the concept of punishment, where how power can be established on the basis of an enforcement of a physical power, and then he also speak how power can be established in a soft manner. So he has mentioned with the absence of resistance there is an absence of power. Michael Foucault is also giving a very unique dimension. So you can imagine that this Foucault's theory, where he writes the book of rules and punishments, and where he's mentioning the topic of resistance, please refer to Michael Foucault. He's not a sociologist, but he's a political philosopher who's talking. But if you want to mention a sociologist, how power can be established on the basis of the state apparatus. And so when the state or the government, they are using different forms of apparatus. And what are the two apparatus? One, it is a form of an ideology which establishes ideological state apparatus, or there is something called as a repressive state apparatus. Who is giving this concept? This has been given by a neo-Marxist whose name is Louis Althusser. Yes, Louis Althusser. Make sure you don't take out your tongue too much or else you will spit on the screen. So power, one more dimension, it has been mentioned in the form of a state apparatus, or you can say power has been mentioned as a form of a cultural phenomena. It is a domination of a culture. It is a cultural hegemony. This has been also been highlighted by a neo-Marxist. His name is Antonio Gramsci. So, so culture, power can also be established in the form of an institution. How three important institutions highlight the power. This has been given by a sociologist. This has been highlighted. Just a second. This has been highlighted by the sociologist C. W. Mills in his theory of the power elite. So, so what we are trying to do over here is we are trying to give a simple explanation where we are discussing different dimensions of power. What are the different dimensions? One dimension has been highlighted by Marx. Another dimension has been highlighted by Weber. Michael Foucault is trying to add a dimension of resistance. Althusser is trying to highlight the dimension of state apparatus, cultural form of power, or you can say cultural form of power has been also been, there is also a form of power such as a capital form of a power. It has been highlighted by a sociologist called as Pierre Bourdieu. So, although for a 10 marker question, these number of points are not very important. A topic has been initiated, so I'm just discussing the different dimensions of power. They create the construction and maintenance of social hierarchies. These are the different hierarchies. Economy is one form of a hierarchy. State apparatus creates a hierarchy. A capital, social capital, economic capital, cultural capital, etc. Cultural hegemony as a Gramsci, institutional forms of power. So, power can be considered to be as a multi-dimensional aspect. It can be interpreted in so and so way. So what you are doing is here in this particular question, you're providing an introduction, a body part, and a conclusions. We try to give a simple definition according to Weber. We give the body part with different dimensions, highlighting of it here, and then we explain power is a multi-dimensional concept. So what have we discussed in our today's class? We have tried to discuss these three questions. In the first, modernization and secularization, how they both, how do they exist together? Do they necessarily go together? So first of all, we are telling with modernization and the element of religion, they don't go together. And we have highlighted the don'ts where religion and modernity they are contradicting. And in the second part, we are saying they do, that religion and modernity they both can coexist. We gave the example of Europe. On the other side, we gave the example of Dubai, West Asia, Middle East. And then what is the phenomena of sects and cults? What are the reasons for the rising trends? And then second, we look up at the dimensions of power. So this is the question number 7. If you have understood the structure of this answer, I want you to go and write it. Because if you're not picking your pen and if you're not writing an answer, then all these discussion, all these videos are going to be futile. They are not going to serve the purpose. 50% of your sociology preparation is about understanding a topic. 50% is about what you apply that topic into a writing format. Please write your answers and try to submit it in the comment section. Create a group because without a group, without a peer formation, sociology will not be benefiting you at a larger level. I'll see you in the last question of paper 1, question number 8 in a couple of days. Have a nice day.